All right, so that was global headlines, and let's now turn our focus on the big story in the United States, which is of the midterm elections and how it is likely to impact the presidency of Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump, to his credit, has actually managed to keep his party's reputation intact. The Republican Party has not only retained the Senate, but has also actually gained ground. But it is not all good news for Donald Trump, though. The Democrats have managed to wrest the control of the House of Representatives. They're picking up at least about 10 Republican-held seats. The House Minority Leader, a Democrat, has also celebrated her victory in this election. Nancy Pelosi has said that Democrats in the U.S. House of Representatives will use the majority to pursue what she calls a bipartisan agenda for the United States. Nancy Pelosi is expected to seek the top job of the House Speaker, a post that she had earlier held for 4 years, beginning in 2007.
Today is more than about Democrats and Republicans. It's about restoring the Constitution's checks and balances to the Trump administration. It's about stopping the GOP and Mitch McConnell's assaults on Medicare, Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act, and the health care of 130 million Americans living with pre-existing medical conditions. Let's hear it more for pre-existing medical conditions. It's about ending wealthy special interest free reign over Washington, but more than anything, it's about what a new Democratic majority will mean in the lives of hardworking Americans.
All right, so that was Nancy Pelosi there, returning as the Washington's most powerful woman and also giving us a glimpse of what Donald Trump can expect in the next 2 years of his presidency. But this, of course, is not going to derail Donald Trump's victory run. The U.S. president, in fact, took to Twitter to thank America for what he has called as a tremendous success. He's tweeted, and I quote, "There's only been about 5 times in the last 105 years that an incumbent president has won seats in the Senate in the off-year election." Now, Mr. Trump is actually quoting here where he says Mr. Trump has magic about him. This guy has magic coming out of his ears. He's an astonishing vote-getter and a campaigner. The Republicans are unbelievably lucky to have him, and I'm just awed at how well they have done. It's all the Trump magic. Trump is the magic man. Incredible. He's got the entire media against him, attacking him every day, and he pulls out these enormous wins. Ben Stein, the capitalist code. And this is a tweet that Donald Trump has decided to tweet as such on his Twitter feed. And also, we earlier spoke with our correspondent Kate Fisher, and this is her take on the results of the midterms.
In the end, the US midterm elections turned out pretty much as people had expected. And in fact, the polls appeared to be just about on the money for once. So no major shocks, but plenty of intrigue about what it will all mean for the rest of Donald Trump's 2 years in office. So the Democrats taking control of the lower house, the House of Representatives, they now have that back under their control, which allows them the opportunity to deliver some oversight, some checks and balances on Donald Trump's presidency. And crucially for many people are mentioning the fact that now they can demand to see the president's tax returns, something that he has until now refused to make public. There is also the option for them to instigate impeachment proceedings against the president if they wish to. There doesn't appear to be much appetite for that now, but after Robert Mueller, the special counsel, has finished his inquiry into alleged interference by alleged potential collusion by the Trump team with Russia during the 2016 presidential election. After that investigation has concluded, Democrats may feel there is enough evidence for them to begin such proceedings. They are unlikely to have much success, though, because the upper house, the Senate, remains very much in Republican control. In fact, they've won a few more senators to that house, and therefore impeachment proceedings would never really get much further.
All right, so that was our correspondent reporting from Washington, D.C. Meanwhile, responding to the results, U.S. President Donald Trump has tweeted congratulating those who worked with him in the elections. He went on and also ridiculed the role of the media, terming the media as hostile and nasty. He's tweeted, and I quote, "Those that worked with me in this incredible midterm election, embracing certain policies and principles, did very well. And those that did not, say goodbye. Yesterday was such a very big win, and all under the pressure of a nasty and a hostile media." And while the Democrats have won the House for the first time in 8 years, President Trump's enthusiasm may actually seem a little strange to many. Now, in an earlier tweet, Trump also referred to the results as a big victory. Now, President Trump has tweeted, and I quote again, "Received so many congratulations from so many on our big victory last night, including from foreign nation friends that were waiting me out and hoping on trade deals. Now we can all get back to work and get things done." Well, it is very interesting that despite the rhetoric on immigrants, all of these people should have in fact got elected in these midterm elections. Now, what's also established that the US voters have given a split verdict. The House of Representatives is now Democrat-leaning, but the Senate remains with the Republicans. But what does this new equation mean for India? Let's remember that Trump had in fact overturned the post-war international consensus on free trade. Trump's nationalist economic policies have not been in favor of India. Now, the US president, remember, has imposed not less than 25% tariffs on steel imports and about 10% tariffs on the import of aluminium from countries around the world. Now, Donald Trump has also declared tariffs on stuff like washing machines and solar panels, just to name a few, which are imported into the United States from India. Now that the House of Representatives is in favor of the Democrats, the House has the power to disrupt any such nationalist economic policies, policies which will also be described as isolationist for the United States. But remember, the House's power is extremely limited to only disruption when it comes to executive policies. Now, the US Senate still has the Republican majority, and finally it is up to the president himself, Donald Trump, to sign any executive order. Now, if the House were to try to meddle with Trump's agenda, then the US president might become more aggressive with his ultra-nationalist policies, which of course will have an impact on the United States foreign affairs. Now, in his campaign for the midterms, Donald Trump had in fact slammed the birthright citizenship. Now, Trump was not in favor of anyone being awarded US citizenship just by virtue of being born on US soil. Now, with a midterm verdict that does not look like a hurdle to Donald Trump, the US president might go on and pass laws abolishing the practice of birthright citizenship. Now, this, remember, is an extremely controversial proposed legislation, considering the fact that the forefathers of Donald Trump themselves had migrated from Germany into the United States. Even though this does not directly impact Indians who are living on Indian soil, it will be, of course, hard-hitting on the Indian expats. Now, Trump has also been against giving jobs to non-Americans, and now that he has a referendum which is pretty much in his favor, Trump may pass a fresh set of orders restricting foreigners in US offices, and this may in fact hurt those Indians who would like to go and work in United States. While Trump's economic nationalism might have stung India, there's also another side to the coin. Now, one needs to acknowledge that Trump administration has viewed India as one of its most attractive partners. High-level security conversations have in fact sprung up in the recent years, and there was the 2+2 dialogue as well, which has to be considered. Now, the United States is also framing its Asian policies somewhat in favor of India. Now, the term which the United States is using is Indo-Pacific focus. Now, the Pentagon has also renamed its Regional Combatant Command accordingly, and now, with reference to the US sanctions on Iran, remember that the Trump administration has also recently made exceptions for India, allowing it to import oil from Iran. And also, our correspondent, Kate Fisher, who has been tracking all the developments for us from Washington, has sent us this report on how this midterm election is likely to impact those Indians who are presently living in the United States. Take a listen.
What does it mean for India and the rest of the world? Well, in terms of foreign policy, the loss of control of one of the houses of Congress may not actually make that much difference. President Trump has always been a leader that tries to do things on his own. He uses his executive power a lot when it comes to dealing with other countries. He doesn't need Congress to quit treaties or start new bilateral agreements. So in the long run, it may not actually have a huge difference on the way he deals with the rest of the world. It will, though, mean that Congress is a lot more assertive. So any kind of foreign policy matters that do have to go through Congress will perhaps struggle to get through, far more difficult than they perhaps would have found it in the past.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, on the occasion of Diwali, visited a holy shrine in Kedarnath in the North Indian state of Uttarakhand. The Prime Minister Modi inspected the reconstruction projects underway at Kedarpuri, for which he had laid the foundations in October last year. He was received by the state's Chief Minister Trivendra Rawat and other senior officials upon his arrival. Now, the Prime Minister is said to have taken special interest in the reconstruction of the shrine, which was devastated in the 2013 flash floods that had killed thousands. And this, of course, is his second visit to the area in the past 6 months. And like every year, the Prime Minister also celebrated the festival with army officers in Harshil in Uttarakhand, where he hailed the efforts of the forces who battle extreme conditions to safeguard the nation.
Bharat Mata ki Jai! Bharat Mata ki Jai! Banda! Banda!
हिंदुस्तान रक्षा शक्ति के क्षेत्र में निरंतर नई ऊंचाइयों को पार करते हैं। हम धरती पर जो हमारी शक्ति है, हमारे जवान हैं, वो सामर्थ्यवान बने, उनकी रोजमर्रा की जिंदगी कठिनाइयां कम कैसे हो, उस पर सरकार लगातार काम कर रही है। उसके साथ साथ मेरा जवान अपनी जवानी तो देश के लिए लगा देता, लेकिन जब यहां से निकले तब उसको कहीं अंधियारा नजर नहीं, वो और एक नए उजाले की ओर जाना चाहिए। उसके लिए जब वो सेना में है तब भी उसकी तैयारियां करवाई जाती है, और यहां से निकलने के बाद भी उसके लिए उचित प्रबंध के लिए व्यापक आयोजन रहता है, जिसके कारण बाकी वर्ष में यदि वो सक्षम हो, उसकी उम्र तो एक प्रकार से शुरुआत हो, वहां भी उसको अच्छे अवसर मिले, अपने कैरियर के लिए अच्छे अवसर मिले, इसके लिए भी सरकार लगातार प्रबंधन करती रहती है।
So that was Prime Minister Narendra Modi there celebrating yet another Diwali with our soldiers. Now, in the Indian state of Jammu and Kashmir, security forces, of course, are celebrating Diwali away from their homes, and most of them are on their duty along the line of control and are vigilant to thwart any attempts of infiltration from across the border. Now, these border security forces personnel celebrated the Festival of Lights with each other while praying for the safety and security of their country. And our correspondent Ishan Wani brings you more.
On the line of control in Kashmir, these border security force personnel are maintaining a tight vigil around the fence between India and Pakistan. The bad weather and early snowfall has made the task even more difficult on the front line. This BSF patrol looks at every suspicious movement along the fence, even on the festive day of Diwali. For them, Diwali celebrations are limited. Away from their families, they will celebrate the festival of lights, guarding the fences. They say they are happy to celebrate the festival with their colleagues, with whom they share a very strong bond.
जो हमारा देश दिवाली मनाता है तो हमारी दिवाली उसी में हमारी खुशी होती है। अगर देश हमारा दिवाली मनाता है, हमारे को इस चीज का कभी फील नहीं होता कि हम दिवाली नहीं मना रहे, क्योंकि हमारे देश की दिवाली हमारी दिवाली है। बशर्ता हम लोगों की जो सोच है वो इस प्रकार से हो जाती है, हमको किसी भी कठिनाइयों की मतलब महसूस नहीं करते।
The combing operations don't stop even for a minute. Round-the-clock vigil is the only way to keep a sneaking enemy at bay.
थोड़ा तो फील होता है, मगर बाकी अगर मैं एक तरह से सोचूं कि मेरी वजह से लाखों करोड़ों भाई बहन हम लोगों की वजह से अगर सुरक्षित दीपावली मना रहे हैं, तो मुझे बहुत गर्व है इस चीज पे।
After finishing their duties, some of these men gather at a local prayer hall. Here they pray for the safety and security of the country. These vigilant personnel have little time to celebrate before they head for another patrol.
जी परिवार वालों और देशवासियों के लिए एक ही मैसेज है कि ये ज्योति का पर्व है, इसको हर किसी के घर में खुशियां आए, हर किसी के जीवन में उजाला छाए, इस तरीके से मनाया जाए, ना कि मतलब पटाखों का बमों का ज्यादा इस्तेमाल करे और प्रदूषण मतलब फैलाए। इसको खुशी के लिए मनाया जाए, ना कि उससे कोई किसी का नुकसान हो।
Away from the border, celebrations are in full swing at the BSF headquarters in the summer capital of Jammu and Kashmir. BSF personnel gather with their families at the festival ground to greet each other.
These festivals give us an opportunity for the entire forces, all the officers and the men and their families to bond together, to come together, to celebrate together. And it is for us, these festivals are an occasion to celebrate not just our service to our country, but also our camaraderie and our brotherhood within the organization.
As the entire India celebrates the Festival of Lights, these Jawans here on the fence are on regular patrol. They are looking after any movement of suspects on their duty, and they are also celebrating this Diwali with their friends and colleagues. They make sure that no one from the fence crosses over and tries to harm the peace of the nation. These Jawans are here for the night. They will patrol these fences, and they will also look for any suspicious person who comes close to the fence. And they wish their families, colleagues and other people and the entire India happy Diwali. With camera person Feroz, Ishan Vani for Wion, World is One.
Well, that's all the time we have in this edition of Gravitas, and this is me, Mohammed Saleh, signing off, wishing all of our viewers have a happy, safe, prosperous and a pollution-free Diwali. Thanks for watching.